Welcome to Audio Path, where we let you in on our experiences, insights, and real-life scenarios working in the music industry. I'm Trent, and I've been a studio owner and operator, a music venue owner and operator, and a musician.
And I'm John. I've been a mix engineer, mastering engineer, live sound technician.
And together, we've got 30 years of experience in the music industry.
Whether you're an artist, an engineer, or somebody who just really likes music, these stories are for you.
Come with us as we pull back the curtain of the music industry.
And let's take a walk down the audio path.
All right, welcome to another episode of the Audio Path podcast. We appreciate you listening and coming back to John and I. We're cruising along today with an interesting topic of what's up with church music, right?
That's right, man.
Is that it? Yeah.
What's up with church music?
What's up with church music? Like how do you get into that, and like how do you find yourself there? For a lot of people, I feel like that's their foundation, and then they get into other things. And like, we're going to talk a little bit more about that. Like, it's this like separate kind of thing, but it's also integrated into everything else as well, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So let's talk further about that. I'm going to throw it over to John because John has got a very close relationship with this topic.
Yeah, man, for sure. So yeah, let's talk about church music. And before we get going, I feel like there are two different listeners probably that are listening right now. You're either the person who's like, church music is terrible.
Yeah.
And I hate it very much. Mm-hmm. Or you're the exact opposite, and you're like,
I love it.
You're like, yeah, I go to a church and I'm on my worship team, or like, you know, I may be a paid musician on my church's worship team, or I'm a worship leader or whatever. So I'm not here to tell you like why church music is good. And I'm not here to tell you like why I think you should listen to it or shouldn't listen to it or whatever, or be involved in it. I obviously have a bias on this. Like I personally find that, church music can be pretty great if done correctly. And, you know, as a Christian myself, like I find it very engaging. If that's not you, it's okay. I think there's still much to be said about church music in terms of like growing up in church and becoming a musician and training there. So let's dive in. One of the things I want to talk about in church music, and this will be broad, you know, and if you all wind up interested in this and give us some comments or shoot some emails and you want to hear more, we can go there. I grew up as a musician in church. So like, that is where my first musical training happened, really.
Yeah.
You know, grew up in church choirs. I've talked about my history there. Grew up, playing in band, playing trumpet in band, but I was also at the same time, like my primary outlet for a while there was playing in my church's orchestra, and all that. And, so church music is a great training ground. First off, I just want to say that.
Yeah. Yeah.
It really can be. Now there's a whole kind of thing right now with musicians being upset about how church music has become really just Jesus karaoke. Okay.
That's funny.
So it's like, oh, well, you know, I'm just, you know, playing along to a click track with a guide, and we're just like locked in, and we're just playing exactly what these original musicians wrote, and I just have to copy these parts exactly. And you're usually playing along with tracks too and all of this. And it's like, man, this kind of like sucks my soul out a little bit.
Right.
If that's you and you're listening, I just want you to know I get it. I've been there. There's an episode we did on burnout, and some of my burnout was a part of that. But really, you know, the thing that I want to kind of impress is that if you'll dive into that, it can make you a really incredible musician.
Totally. I can jump in here real quick and say, like, so many musicians that I know that are phenomenal, really good players, grew up, you know, playing in church.
Totally.
And like when I hear someone's coming to the studio, they're like, I'm like, oh, I haven't met that guy. Like, I don't see him around town. Where does he play? And they're like, he doesn't really play out much. He just kind of, you know, learned in church and stuff. I'm like, okay, say no more. We'll be fine.
Yeah.
I know he's going to be dope.
Yep,
you
the
know?
church players.
Yeah.
because there are so many, because that's the way that church music has kind of shifted.
Mhm.
There are so many tools and resources available that aren't available for other genres of music to learn, like guitar or learn piano or whatever.
Yeah.
For example, there's a website called multitracks.com, and you can go there and you can buy the stems of like every worship song, like every major worship recording.
Cool. Yeah.
You can just download them and you can just listen to the electric guitar part, and you can like try to build your tone to match that. You can learn the actual like recorded parts. And that's a huge tool, like a
Yeah.
huge learning tool that can really help you kind of level up. I mean, the reaction that I hear to that a lot of the time is, well, I want to, like, I don't want to just play their parts. Like I want to play, what I think fits in there. I think there's a balance there. Just like any other genre of music, you got to know that genre before you got to know how to speak that language. Really, is a better way to put it, before you can contribute.
Right.
Before you can have something creative to say.
Say something thoughtful.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Just like learning how to play blues. You need to learn blues licks. You need
Yeah.
to learn what chord structure looks like in blues, etc. And really, that's the case for any genre. So, anyway, that's kind of where that is. Now, what I really want to do in this episode is talk about, okay, so let's say that you are, because I have a feeling, a decent bit of the people who are listening to this may play in church. So it's like, let's say you are playing consistently in church and maybe you have written some songs. How do you what do you do with them? What do you do next? And I get this question a pretty good bit, which is why I wanted to cover this topic. So the first thing I want to say, really, as far as that goes, is your best connection to contemporary Christian music, or CCM, is your local church. Your local church is where you will get the opportunity to, present your song, teach a band your song, get some collaboration going on, have other people put eyes on your song. I mean, it's such a unique environment in that even if it's not technically like a band or your band, you're just there pretty consistently with this group of other musicians who automatically are probably thinking in the style that you're writing in, if you're trying to write Christian music. So anyway, just wanted to put that out there. That's kind of a big thing. I see a lot of people who are creatives and they're not given an outlet in their local church for their own personal expression. And then they get really burnt out, and then they run away from playing on a worship team at a church. And then they have these songs and they're like, I'm going to go record these songs, and they're hiring session musicians and whatnot. When really, if a song works in your church and like people sing along with it and they learn it over the course of time, that's, in my opinion, when a song is ready to be recorded.
Yeah.
It doesn't work the other way around.
No.
It's not like, oh, I'm going to just, create this banger of a track in a studio somewhere. If you're trying to get your song played in churches, you need to start by playing your song in churches.
Well, there you go.
It almost makes too much sense.
I know.
Right? So,
yeah.
So anyway, that's really the starting place. To that end, if you're listening to this and you maybe are like a worship leader at a church or whatever, I just want to encourage you to find ways to pull that out of your musicians. Find ways to help them be creative, because they have something to say on their instrument. And sometimes it's just a matter of like giving them the chance, giving them the opportunity. Maybe this looks like getting together for a jam night, just with the worship team at somebody's house, and and make it a point to say, we'd love for you to bring some originals, to this meeting. The fact of the matter is, this is just the same exact thing we've been talking about for I don't even know how many episodes now of working with other musicians and this thing that we've been calling the music industry. That's really what CCM is. It works the same way. You may not be called a band, it may be called a worship team, but functionally it's the same exact thing going on.
Same things happening.
Yep. The same. So it's the same exact creative process as well. And so yeah, that's really where it starts. I think that's kind of the thing that I just really want to drive is like, it's got to be kind of organic, and it's got to be something that is that is given room, essentially.
Yeah.
Otherwise, nothing's really going to happen with it.
Right.
So,
Yeah, that
Yeah.
makes sense. That makes sense.
for sure.
You know, I feel like I've heard you say this before, John, and maybe I'm misheard, but tell me more if this is true. But is it true that there's a lot of like kind of gatekeeping that goes on in the CCM world, and that it's hard to kind of get in there and make a living in that side of things?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
I mean, there's two different sides of it. There's the local church side of it, and then
Right.
there's the actual like CCM industry
Side of it. Right.
And one thing that's so interesting to me, having now really kind of lived and worked in both, is that there is such a divide.
Yeah.
And I personally kind of struggle with that a little bit.
Yeah.
It's kind of like churches are, I don't want to sound too harsh, but churches in a lot of cases are being sold a product at this point.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, oh man, this huge worship group, which is really just a church's local worship team in a bigger scale, has created this song and it's awesome. And so now, like, I'm going to do that song at my church.
Right.
But there's a divide there. Like,
Yeah.
it's just kind of like we're creating and like you're going to
You're buying
perform
it. Right. Perform
our
it.
song,
Right.
so to speak. And I'm right now, I'm much more interested in what's going on over here being more of a creator.
Right.
In the local,
Internally.
local expression of church creating their own music.
Yeah, that sounds good.
That's really what I'm interested in right now. Now, flipping to the other side, that's not malicious on the side of CCM.
No.
I don't really think anyone's out there like, yeah, I just wrote this absolute banger and everybody's gonna buy it.
That's right.
I
No.
I really don't think that's what's going on.
Probably not intentionally at all. Yeah.
Not a bit.
Yeah.
But these larger churches are writing really good music a lot of the time, and
Yeah.
so it makes sense. But yeah, gatekeeping can be a thing. But it's not even, I wouldn't even necessarily call it gatekeeping so much as I would call it, if you look at, like, if you go to kind of a modern church, you can, CCLI, which is like a licensing agency that basically gets royalties in the hands of the songwriters. They require you to list at the end or at the beginning of a new song, like on the lyrics, who the songwriters are and like its license number and things like that. So if your church is compliant, then you'll see that. Not all churches are complying though. And anyway, so you can see not just like the group or the publisher, but you can see the individual people who have worked on the song. And I'd encourage you to pay more attention to that because it's actually showing you the songwriters, including the producers who have worked on the song. And what you'll start to notice is it's the same people. It's
Dun dun dun.
dun, dun, dun. It's all the same people working on all this music. And
Yeah.
so, yeah, that in and of itself creates a little bit of a gate.
Right.
Because
unintentionally, they just got good at it, right?
Yeah, they just got good at it and they do a great job.
Yeah.
And but one of the things you can do is if you really feel like, okay, I have written this song, I've taught it to my church's band, we've played it several times, the congregation really, really likes it, it's time to record it or whatever, I would encourage you to just reach out to some of those people.
Yeah.
Reach out to some of the names that you see.
There you go.
I'm not saying you're going to hear back from them, but, working with a well-known producer in the genre that you want to be in is always a good idea.
Yeah. Totally.
I mean, it just totally is always a good idea.
Yeah.
And this goes back to some of the things that we've talked about in previous episodes, but, these are just people, though.
Of course.
Sure, they're super good at what they do,
Yeah.
but they're still just people.
Yeah.
I mean, you can go to, let me give you an example here, okay? And I'll use one name. Okay, so Chris Greeley. Phenomenal mix engineer. I mean, anybody, if you're listening to this and you're well versed in CCM world and mixing, you know that name. Let me tell you something crazy. You can just go to his website and just contact him.
What? Just like a regular guy.
Yeah, he's just a guy.
Yeah.
And he's incredible at what he does. But, you know, this question of like, how do I break into CCM or whatever? It's not like this kind of nebulous entity. It's just, you know, it's comprised of people, and you can hire Chris to mix a song for you.
Yeah. It's just they're doing it on a high level. That's what it is, right?
Yep.
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 Well,
So that's just a fact.
it can be easy as that.
It can be easy as that. It's not.
Yeah.
It's not that complicated. And here's another fun fact for you. It doesn't have to sound like all the rest of the other stuff. That's a fact for you.
Yeah, that might be nice.
Yeah, I know. It might be nice. Because
Yeah.
that is, of course, you know, an ongoing joke with
it
church
all-
music right
it's
now.
all sound the same.
It all sounds the same.
Yeah.
And it does sound pretty similar a lot of the time.
Yeah.
For sure. You know, 4 chords. But
Right.
yeah. But, you know, whatever.
That's okay.
But, you know, you don't have to follow a pattern. And I think that's another really reason that I wanted to do this really kind of brief episode is write what is on your heart. You know, this is not like a songwriting podcast per se, but I think it's important to not just copy no matter what genre you're in, don't just copy exactly what other people are doing.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, we wouldn't be here sitting in these 2 chairs having this conversation about audio if it weren't for songs.
Right.
That's where it all started. That's where it all starts for every project and where we got our start. So just, you know, write what you want to write. And if it happens to align with something else, then cool. And if it's a little bit different, that's cool too.
Yeah.
You know?
I'm reminded of, you know, that it's kind of blown up. It went viral where T-Pain is, I think he was actually doing a podcast.
Oh, yeah?
And he just is like, he listens to somebody's song and it sounds like the previous ones. And he goes, do something different. You know?
Do something different.
He's like, we already have this.
Yep.
Do something different.
Yeah, yeah.
And, you know, that's how I feel a lot of the time with CCM.
Yeah.
I don't want to hear, if I want to hear Bethel music, I'll turn Bethel music on. You know, if I want to hear elevation worship, I'll turn elevation worship on.
Right.
What do you have to say, you
Yeah.
know, at this moment in time?
Yeah, what do you bring into the table?
What are you bringing to the table? You know what I
right.
mean?
You know,
Yeah.
there's already 4 broccoli casseroles here. We're not going to eat them all. All right?
Dude, yes.
You know what I'm saying?
That's so good. There's only
Yeah.
4 broccoli casseroles.
Like, I'm going to go for the mashed potatoes over here.
Yeah, that's right.
Just
That's
a
right.
little bit of this and that.
A little bit of this, a little bit of that.
Right.
So yeah. Now to shift gears a little bit, if you are not necessarily a songwriter, if you are, you know, just a musician and your primary outlet is the church world, and you're wondering like, how do I kind of fit into this puzzle, so to speak? Like, I'm not a songwriter, I'm just a guitar player, but I really like playing worship.
Yeah.
Find a songwriter and offer to play on their track.
Boom.
I mean, it's that simple.
Yeah.
You know, I bet you anything, one of the worship leaders at your church is writing some songs.
Mm-hmm.
Bet you anything.
Yep. Somebody in the band for sure is.
Somebody's writing some songs.
Yep.
You know, go find them and offer to be like, hey, I'd love to write some guitar parts for one of your songs.
Yeah.
You know, what you got?
You never know where it might lead.
You really don't. I mean, the reality is all of these larger churches that are writing, you know, the big anthems right now or whatever that blow up, they are always connected to a local church. I mean, without exception.
Yeah.
Every single one of them. And they all started out as just somebody with a guitar writing a song or two,
Totally.
you know?
Yeah.
I mean, just because this is, you know, kind of my background in my area, you know, I think of Brian Johnson, you know, who is one of the main worship leaders over at Bethel in California. And, you know, there's the album Be Lifted High that came out. I think it's like their second album or whatever. And if you listen to it, like the songs are really, really great, but, you know, they were clearly just starting. Like the mix is not awesome. You know, it was what it was. But some of the songs on there, if you're not familiar with that album, go listen to it and you'll be like, whoa, I didn't know that like this song came from this, because there's so many like good versions of it now. And he was just a guy writing songs that were on his heart.
Well, there you go.
You know, plain and simple.
Yeah.
And
That's usually the best songs.
yeah,
Mhm.
that is, yeah.
Yeah.
That is exactly where they come from.
Yeah.
So,
Very
so
cool.
just find somebody to collaborate with,
Mm-hmm.
and go write something. Just
That's
have some
right.
fun. Pick up your instrument and just see what happens.
Absolutely.
Totally.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Good deal.
For sure, man.
Well, cool. Well, what do you think, dude? Now we know what's up.
That's what's up.
That's what's up with
I
church
mean, in
music.
some forms, that's
Yeah.
what's up. That's what's up with it. If you're a CCM person, I'd love to hear from you. If you're on a worship team at your church, I did that. I lived in church world for 15 years and loved every minute of it, for the most part. And hit me up. I'd love to hear your story. I'd love to connect with you if you are writing music, that fits kind of in that genre, and you need some help with it. Love to help you in any way that I can, point you in the right direction, chat with you, and troubleshoot stuff. If you need songwriting help, I'm here for that too. So, yeah, let us know. Let us know.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So I guess we'll round it out with what we're working on.
Let's do it.
Okay. Let's do it. You go first, John.
Okay. Sounds good. Kind of similar to what we're talking about. I had two things go on this last week. I went over to Statesville, North Carolina, and taught a class on broadcast engineering. So I taught 3 classes, but that was kind of my primary one. It was called Optimizing Your Audio for Your Live Stream.
Nice.
So talking about some of the stuff we've talked about already, about like, hey, you really need an acoustically neutral listening environment. You need to be set up correctly and all that. But also talking about some general rules and ways to make it kind of sound more engaging on a live stream, as far as like church services go. So that was good. And then I had kind of a random but really cool thing. Charity Gale wound up coming to Raleigh at the same time. I talked about last episode, I was in Raleigh doing some video shoots. She came through Raleigh, and I was hanging out with my friend Adam. Shout out, Adam. Hope you're listening. Who owns Triangle Production Group in Raleigh.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just kind of kicking around his shop, helping him with some stuff. And he was like, man, Charity Gale is coming tomorrow, and they're kind of like in a pinch. And they've asked me to provide, like PA and some other stuff, pretty much everything actually for them.
Yeah.
And I've got this other show I've got to do. But like, if you're willing to stick around Raleigh one more day, like I would love to, like, I think you're a great guy for this. I'd love to put you on there. And, they'll need help with like their monitors too and everything.
Cool.
So right place, right time, worked out great. So I did monitors for Charity Gale. And what a great team. What a great team. Sam was the name of the front of house guy and their production manager, and really just kicked it off with him. He's a great guy. We had some laughs.
Nice.
And, show went off without a hitch. All was great. And, it was a good night.
Nice.
It was a good night.
Jumped in there to help save the day.
Yeah.
Well, you never know what's going to happen, right?
It was fun, man. It was a good time.
That's super cool.
Yeah.
Very cool.
So what about you? What you got going on?
Yeah, man. A little hodgepodge this week. I ended up picking up another date for the audio book. We needed to basically finish the book, and just was taking a little bit longer. It's a big one. It was like 340 some pages or something like that. So we ended up picking up another date with them. And that was good. I also started a new project with the group, the Mid-Atlantic. They are, okay, let me see if I can describe this in the best way possible, because they've had a little bit of a shift. If you ever knew them back like 10 years ago, so we worked together about 10 years ago. I did their last record, and so we've known each other for a long time. And they cruised on that record for a couple years, and then went into kind of an indefinite hiatus for a while. They went into hibernation, I guess.
Yeah.
And now they fired the band back up about a year or so ago, I think. Maybe off a little bit on my timeline, but they're rocking and rolling again, and now they want to record some more music, and they're back. And
Sweet.
we're working together again after 10 years, and it's cool to kind of have that kind of full circle moment with them. And so the description. So back then they were pretty much like an energetic, folky, bluegrassy kind of thing. Now they're still that, but they've incorporated an even more of like punk elements.
Oh, that's cool.
To their bluegrass. One of the main songwriters, Jason, played in punk bands before he got into like the bluegrass stuff, and so now he's like letting some of his punk influences like come into his bluegrass music, which is pretty cool.
That's sweet, dude.
Yeah.
Oh, I
Yeah.
can't wait to hear that.
It's like pirate grass or something like that. It's cool. It's cool.
Sick.
So working with them in a little different way now, and it's been a lot of fun.
Cool.
So yeah.
Right on, dude. Sounds like a great project.
Yeah, it's gonna be cool. I'm excited to see how it shapes up. So,
Sweet.
Cool.
Cool.
Yeah, man. Well, cool. Well, thanks everyone for listening to this episode. Hopefully you learned something. Like John was saying, if you want to talk more about it, please shoot us an email, audiopathpodcast@gmail.com. Drop a comment. Like, what's up with your church? What do they got going on? Are you seeing some of these things that we talked about, or are you seeing something different that other people might be interested to learn about? So, yeah, keep up with us. Reach out. Give us a sub if you liked it. Give us a like. Do all those things. And, till next time,
Steady the path.
steady the path.